rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Eliot Unitarian Chapel. I'm Tim Gardner, and I'm honored to be your liturgist this morning. Joining me is Carl Serbell, longish member of Eliot, not that very long, of Eliot Chapel. And Suzanne LaLauren is our pastoral care member. Team person this morning, please see Suzanne. If something is weighing on your heart and a listening ear would be helpful. I am pleased to welcome each of you to our worship this morning. Whether you are here in our sanctuary or participating from home, we are united as one community. Eliot Unitarian Chapel is a liberal religious community of spiritual seekers. We welcome each of you in the fullness of your age, race, ethnicity, your ways of being in body and mind, your gender expression, your sexual orientation, and religious background. Our core values are freedom, respect, reason, and love. If you are visiting Eliot for the first or second time, a special welcome to you. There are so many things that you could have chosen to do this morning, and you've chosen to spend it with us. We hope that you find today's message speaking to you and that you will return again. If you are here in person, please fill out the guest form that you may have received on your way in, both sides if you have children visiting with you, so we may stay in touch with you, and penmanship counts. There is also a QR code on the order of service for our online guests and on the front screen of our website. We hope you will join us for coffee hour after the service. Come forward and follow the crowd through the doors on your right into Adams Hall. We invite you to take a blue mug so we may be sure to welcome you. And if you are not new, please look for folks with blue mugs and say hello. And finally, the online coffee hour is at 1 p.m. So welcome, all of you, to our place of holiness, wholeness, and love. Welcome to Eliot Chapel. Our chalice lighting words are from the Reverend Hope Johnson, entitled One Love. We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here, not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. Please rise in all the ways you are able. So for our opening hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come in. 361.
Together
service. You can all stand. It's a joyful day. As a free congregation, we promise to one another our mutual trust and support. To create beloved community, we promise to be kinder to each other than we have to be, to listen fully to with an open mind and heart, to speak responsibly and respectfully, to find ways to improve our church for all members and friends. And now would our young and young at heart please join us up front for our wisdom story, The Fox and the Lion, a tale from the Sufi. Ah, one brave soul. 3, 4 brave souls. 5. Oh. It's an exodus from the balcony.
Oh, we gotta have a dinosaur.
Find a place to sit.
Our story today is about a woman, a fox, a lion, a fish, and the spirit of life. Once there was a woman who prayed to understand what path she should take in life.
Spirit of life, please give me guidance as to what path I should take in life.
Be patient. You will soon find your path.
One night, after praying, she dreamed of walking in the forest. The next day, she went into the forest, searching for the answer to her prayers.
It is so quiet and peaceful here. But what is that? That patch of red fur in the shade of the big tree? Oh my, it's a fox. What's wrong with him?
Watch, and you will learn.
The fox was injured, and the woman started toward him, but then out came a lion with a fish in his mouth. The woman was frightened, and so she hid herself. I said, the lion has a fish in his mouth. The woman watched as the lion laid the fish near the fox, turned around, and left the way that he came. As she watched the weakened fox eat the fish, she said to herself,
There is my answer. The spirit of life, who takes care of the fox, will also take care of me. I do not have to do anything. I will be taken care of if I only have faith.
The woman went back home, happy to have her answer. And indeed, she did not do anything. She did not clean. She did not go to work. She did not feed herself. She grew weak from hunger, and she fell into a restless sleep and dreamed that she was back in the forest.
O Spirit of life, you took care of the fox, but will you not provide for me?
The Spirit of life replied,
You are mistaken. I do not want you to be like the fox. I want you to be like the lion. This ends our story. We will now sing our children out to their activities. invite you now into a time of prayer and meditation. If you wish to, put your feet flat on the floor, straighten your spine, close your eyes, and follow your breath. Hear now these words which Pope Francis reports he prays every day. Falsely attributed to Sir St. Thomas More, this version is the most light-hearted Carl could find. A prayer for good digestion. Lord, grant me a good digestion and also something to digest. Grant me a healthy body with sense to keep it at its best. Grant me a healthy mind to keep the good and pure in sight, which seeing wrong is not applied, but finds a way to set right. Grant me a mind that is not bored, that does not whimper, whine, or sigh. Don't let me worry overmuch about the things that's known as I. Grant me a sense of humor, Lord. Grant me the grace to see a joke, to get some happiness from life, and pass it on to other folk. Amen. I invite you now to speak the names of any you wish to hold up for the love and prayer of this community. We hold these and all good souls who could not be named in our hearts. Amen. Please remain seated for our meditative hymn, number 360. Here we have gathered. 360. offertory with an organization in the community whose work reflects our shared values. This is one way that we care for our community and our neighbors. In August, Eliot Chapel will share its bounty with the acronym CAPAS, C-A-P-A-S, the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, acronym UUSC, Community Accompaniment Program with Asylum Seekers. CAPAS supports communities of faith, including Eliot Chapel, as we host and accompany individuals and families seeking safety through the process of obtaining legal asylum in the United States. The host congregations, including Eliot Chapel, provide support for housing, legal representation, medical care, transportation, and more to asylum seekers for 1 to 2 years. CAPAS staff work closely with congregations throughout the process and provide ongoing support and connections to other congregations doing similar work. CAPAS has been an invaluable resource for Eliot Chapel's immigration justice team since 2019. And now, as we sponsor the Castro family from Honduras, I'm glad to report the family is now out of a shelter and living in the Gravois Park neighborhood of South St. Louis. Members of the Immigration Justice Team have direct contact with CAPAS staff, as well as monthly group calls with peers from other faith communities sharing experiences. Webinars and blogs keep our Immigration Justice Team updated and informed. As an aside, several members of our immigration team are not here this morning because 2 of the 3 young Castro family children have just marked birthdays, and the team is giving them the first ever birthday party these kids have ever been able to celebrate, given the abject poverty and pervasive crime from which the Castros fled. I also want to emphasize that our offertory today is being shared with CAPAS and not our immigration team. Let us be a generous people. Please join us with the words of dedication found in your order of service. To the work of the church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. Do you have words? Our reading this morning is a poem by the wonderful Mary Oliver, A Summer Day. Who made the world? Who made the swan? Who made the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now, she lifts a pale forearm and thoroughly washes her face. Now, she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Does not everything die at last, and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
Thank you, Tim. Good morning, friends.
Good morning.
Back in the spring of 2016, I was called to take the identity of being a humanist by none other than Senator Bernie Sanders. I like Bernie. He was interviewed on some TV show, and the interviewer said, "What are your religious beliefs?" His answer was, "I believe we're all in this together." Yes, we are all in this together. That's what really counts to me, that we are not alone, and that we share responsibility for taking care of each other. Now, from childhood, I've depended a lot on rational thought, logic, experience, science, and education. And the idea that we are all in this together makes total rational sense. So, since I was thinking that way from childhood, this awakening was less of a calling and more of a realization. And to give you an idea of where my head was at as a youngster, yeah, that's me, 10 years old. This would have been the summer of 1954. Yes, yesterday was my 80th birthday. Those are my two younger brothers and three girl cousins. And my grandfather had died about 2 years before this time. His death may have been on my mind when I went to my parents, and I remember this distinctly. I said to them, when we die, the way that we live on is in the memory of the people who knew us. My parents calmly nodded, smiled, and validated my rational analysis of life and death. And they said, yes, dear. I know now that two hallmarks of humanism are rationality and a disregard for the idea of heaven or an afterlife. And I've been there for a long time. Now, last year, as part of the Wellspring program, I went out to do some research on humanism, and I went to the website of the American Humanism Association. And there I found their motto, good without a God. I found their definition of humanism, and I really like the part about ethical lives of personal fulfillment. And I also found that figure. That figure is called the Happy Human. It's an internationally used figure in some variations for humanist societies around the world. The Happy Human. YMCA. The Happy Human. Because it's not all about deep philosophy or figuring out what the meaning of the world is or arguing endlessly about things, although we do that as well. It's about having a good life, a happy life that's fulfilling, productive, helpful to others. By the way, at Eliot, we have a Humanist Covenant group that you can join for monthly discussions. If you're interested, talk to me afterwards. Our next meeting is Thursday down in the Eliot, Susan Frederick Gray room. And Rick and Mary Ann Mace over here, wave your hands, guys. They run a group called the Friday Freethinkers every Friday, and you get to talk about just about anything, right, Rick and Mary Ann? Another place you can go to talk about interesting ideas, right here at Eliot. Now, there are serious implications of this kind of a belief structure: political, social, economic, ethical, psychological. And I recommend the AHA website, by the way, is a good place to start, or our Humanist Covenant group. But day to day, I simply find a humanist way of thinking to be enjoyable, rewarding, and a helpful way to guide my behavior. I think of it a little more simply than that. I think of it as a recipe. Now, this is a recipe for a stew, which means you can add the ingredients in whatever proportion you find most appropriate for good nutrition and good digestion and something good to digest. You can also start with rationality, and that's where I start, as you know, or you can start with kindness, compassion, and you can work backwards. I've got to tell you that those first two, rationality and kindness, really depend upon each other, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So let's start with rationality, just because that's where I start. I don't really, most humanists agree with this, I don't really want to have everything explained. Because if we don't have mysteries, things that we don't understand, then we would not have the many cousins of mystery: hope, inspiration, creativity, imagination, so many others. These are all mysteries, and life without mystery would be pretty boring. Now, there's an example of mystery that I'd like to share with you, and it's from our service today, that piece that we played on recorders at the beginning. I can't rightly explain why, but that piece goes to my heart. I think the music is just totally beautiful. And why is a mystery as great as the sight of grasshoppers flying over a meadow? Now, the piece was called Emendamus in Melior, and it was written as a sacred vocal piece by a Catholic composer. The original text is in Latin. Here's the translation. Take a moment, take a deep breath. How, you might ask, does a UU humanist get down with his music when the text speaks to a personal God and the idea of sin? And by the way, even if you're playing an instrument and not singing, you really want to know what the words are behind the text, if there are some, because that tells you where to breathe. It tells you where the commas are. It also, more importantly, gives you an idea of what the composer might have been thinking about when he or she wrote the music. So it's important. So how do I deal with that? What I deal with that is I focus on the message first, and the idea of amending our behavior for the better is an idea that I can really get down with right away. Now, the joke is that we UUs sing hymns too slowly because as we go along, we have to decide if we agree. So, what does a UU humanist do with words like Lord and sin? And some of our songs in our hymnal will refer to beings or things that we don't maybe totally agree in. I'm certainly sung in choirs myself where singing was an important part, and you were singing words that maybe you wouldn't normally say. Well, with this particular example, once I get over the initial shock, first of all, I sing or play loud and clear and I stay in tempo because of the music, the beauty of the music. To myself, I interpret sin as simply bad behavior, and Lord as the greater existence beyond myself. It's enough for me to accept that if there is such a thing as a higher power, it's not me. Now, if you start your humanist stew with kindness, there are limits there as well. Understanding what is a true kindness frequently requires some thought, some discernment, and that's going to be based on experience and education. So there are two ways at least to start cooking our humanist stew, with rationality or with kindness, and we'll find that just as many people start with kindness as start with rationality, and maybe some mixture of the two. But there's something important about mystery, in that it provides a bridge between rationality and kindness and emotion. Now, you know, for me, music is an area that's really important in terms of mystery, but there are other mysteries, big ones. What are the big mysteries for you? Life, death, birth, the universe and all of creation. One of the big mysteries is at the center of our UU shared values, and that is love. Now, this is the graphic representing our shared UU values that we voted on and accepted just this past June. Love is at the center, and the 6 values that all start with love are interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, and justice. Now, this General Assembly where we voted was totally virtual, so nobody went to a central city and gathered. It was all on Zoom, or workshops were on Zoom, or we were on Zoom meetings listening to discussions and amendments and business meetings and so forth. So when we came to vote on this, we were all here. I mean, we went down to the Susan Frederick Gray room down the hall with Reverend Krista, and we wanted to look at this and say, are we going to accept this as our statement of shared values? So we talked a little bit about that. Now, being rational, we said, okay, love is at the center, but where is the definition of love? Because when you look at the resolution, the 6 values are all fully explained with 30 to 50 words at least. Love is not defined. So we decided that we didn't want to define love. There were just too many ways to love and to be loved. We didn't want to limit our understanding of love with insufficient words that try to pin it down. So our next question was, how are we going to teach this to our children and newcomers? We had several people in the room who had done a lot of religious education, and they had a great answer to that. We start the discussion by asking our children or people in the room, how does love feel to you? What is your idea of love? What does it feel like when you love something or someone? What does love impel you to do? Reverend Krista offered a wonderful question. How do you know when you are loved? Love is at the center of our values, and love is a mystery. We know what love is only by looking at what it does in our lives. So, mystery connects us to our second ingredient, being kind. We have this in our congregational covenant. Be kinder to each other than you have to be. So if you're rational, you're going to look around you and you're going to see what or who needs your kindness, and you're going to take some action, as the lion in the wisdom story did in bringing a fish to the injured fox. Sometimes this requires some understanding of what would be true kindness, and this is sometimes not an easy road to follow. Sometimes it takes deep discernment. Let me reassure you, you're not alone in that. But let's look at a very common way to define kindness, which is the golden rule. I prefer version number 2. Do not do unto others as you would not have them do unto you. Those are the older religions that favor that formulation. Because when you follow version 2, you're not making an assumption about what another person would find to be a kindness. And at least you're avoiding bad behavior from your own point of view, because you're not doing something for somebody else that you would not have done for you. It's not a complete answer, but we do have the platinum rule, which is do unto others as they would have you do unto you, as they would have you do unto them. And an example there is when we use preferred pronouns, or we try to find some way to understand what another person would find to be true kindness. And then there's the situation where what another person may think is kindness may not be the kindest thing. We have to make difficult decisions about what actions are true kindness. Just ask any professional therapist or any parent. This is a work in progress for all of us, but you're not alone. Now, for the third ingredient. Yeah, I was going to get there, don't worry. There are so many ways that people tell us we can be happy and enjoy life. Today, for me, for this happy humanist, it's really easy. Because today, we have gathered together. We've listened to music, we've sung together, we heard a story, had some laughs, even a puppet show. We heard a great poem about falling down in the grass, about walking in the fields, about being idle and blessed. And in a minute, this message will be over. And we'll go next door to Adams Hall and we'll tell more stories and have some coffee. So I'll end with a final bit of spice for our recipe. For really good digestion, I think it's important that we avoid taking ourselves too seriously. We need to cultivate a sense of humor. Now, you've got this quote in your order of service that Albert Einstein, who was a deeply religious non-believer, he said, "I believe in Spinoza's God, who reveals himself in the orderly harmony of what exists, not in a God who concerns himself with fates and actions of human beings." Now, if you go online, you're going to find a lot of very learned papers about Spinoza's God and what his philosophy really showed. But there is also out there a lighthearted invention of what it would be like if Spinoza's God were to come here and give this message. The author is anonymous. We're sure it's not Spinoza, but here are my favorite excerpts. God would say, stop praying. What I want you to do is go out into the world and enjoy your life. I want you to sing, have fun, and enjoy everything I've made for you. Stop blaming me for your miserable life. I never told you there was anything wrong with you, or that you were a sinner, or that your sexuality was a bad thing. Sex is a gift I've given you, and with which you can express your love, your ecstasy, your joy. So don't blame me for everything they made you believe. I can't tell you if there's anything after this life, but I can give you a tip. Live as if there is not, as if this is your only chance to enjoy, to love, to exist. I'm bored of being praised. I'm tired of being thanked. Feeling grateful? Prove it by taking care of yourself, your health, your relationships, the world. Express your joy. That's the way to praise me. After all, what else do you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Now let's sing together again. Hymn number 346. Come, sing a song with me.
Apologies. Please join me as we say, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our heart until we are together again. musical gift.
Closing words are from the Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard. The path is never clear. The stakes are very high. Take courage. For deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. To those words, I'll add my own. Go in peace and be the lion.